As I boarded the plane, leaving behind the warm caresses of Busan for the unknown shores of France, I felt an overwhelming whirlwind of emotions. It was the culmination of all those years spent kneading dough, the tact of my baker father lingering in every fold, encompassing not just the taste of homemade bread, but the essence of familial love and solidarity. But now, I was a far cry from that fledgling baker who'd first ventured into the family-owned bakery, surprised and somewhat frightened by the fiery oven and the towering sacks of flour, its earthy scent filling my nostrils, instilling a familiarity that was both comforting and daunting. The echo of my parents' proud cheers as I held aloft that baking award still rang in my ears, their jubilant faces glowing with a joy only parents could comprehend. At that point, I was not merely Hyun, the baker's son, but Hyun the achiever, the carrier of the family torch. Sandwiched in between all these thoughts, I saw flashes of Yoonji, her beautiful smile dimming in relativity as the sorrow of parting crept in. I remembered how her eyes had glistened in the mellow candlelight as I presented her the cake we had baked together, and how our hands had brushed and hesitated over the mixing bowl, creating a song more splendid than the soft crackle of pastries. It felt as if a lifetime was crammed into those few moments, her laughter accompanying me like a sweet serenade. Then, justice to my roots entered my mind, the essence of Busan, the hustle and bustle, the crowded football fields, the cacophony of the fish markets, the salt and sea breeze. Everything seemed to cross a distance far greater than geographical miles. All those emotions coupled with the sheer excitement for my future in Paris were like a storm raging inside me, about to burst through the surface. I clutched the acceptance mail from Le Cordon Bleu tight in my fist, as if it were a ticket to my dreams. That day marked my journey of transition from a small bakery in Busan to the culinary heights of Paris, creating a nexus of the past and the future. It entailed my transformation from a boy kneading his first bread in the familiar bakery to a man ready to wear the chef's hat in the grandeur of French patisserie. It was my ticket from being a mere participant in the art of cooking to transforming into its dedicated artist. Unconsciously, my hand moved to the small mole under my eye, a characteristic so quintessentially me. It's strange how a single decision, a mere turning point, can lead to a cascade of life-altering events. Along the threshold of embarking on a new journey, I felt like a captain setting sail into uncharted territories, a blend of consecutive waves of nervous anticipation and confident resilience guiding me, with the anchors of my past keeping me grounded and the sails of my dreams steering me ahead. As the Busan skyline receded into the distance, only to be replaced by a canvas of clouds, I knew I carried within me a piece of my old self, the cherished memories, the tireless elements that had built up Hyun Song, ready to confront the world with a baker's heart and a dreamer's vision. I remember distinctly the night of the Halloween party in Paris. Isabel and I, proudly donned in our matching chef uniforms, were the talk of the party. The room sparkled with fairy lights, mirroring the mischief and excitement in everyone's eyes. The night was buzzing with chatter, laughter, and clinking glasses, and the aroma of mulled wine and pumpkin pie added to the festive cheer. Yet amidst the revelry, it was our shared passion for cooking that enthralled our friends and the onlookers. Each hors d'oeuvre we presented was accompanied by a story, the origin of the dish, the ingredients, and the process of cooking, not unlike sharing snippets of our souls. We were not just feeding our friends, we were building a bridge of understanding, sharing our joy and challenges in the kitchen. I remember the twinkle in Isabel's eyes as she explained how the cloth-bound cheddar in our cheese platter was aged to perfection. Her passion was so radiant, it warmed the hearts of everyone within earshot. It was so contagious that you couldn't help but be drawn to her. The laughter, the applause, the good-natured ribbing, everything added to the exhilarating experience. But underlying the celebrations was a deep sense of connection, like we were two pieces of a puzzle perfectly fitting together. Cooking together, sharing stories, the laughter, and the silent moments in between. They all danced around us like a loving embrace, creating an evening etched in the memory of my heart. However, it was not all about the glory and the glamour of cooking. I remember the tiredness that settled in our bones by the end of the night, the perspiration trickling down our faces, the throbbing of our feet from standing all evening. Yet there was a satisfaction that blanketed the tiredness, an unspoken understanding of how our love and respect for each other had deepened through the experience. We looked at each other, two chefs, two lovers, two comrades, satisfied, content, and so completely in tune with each other. The Halloween party was one of those nights where I felt joy, pride, and love converging into a beautiful symphony, as vivid and colorful as the Halloween night itself. It wasn't just about delicious dishes, but about creating memories that would last a lifetime. Our passion for cooking united us that night, wrapping us in a world of our own, making us forget everything else. And even though that bubble burst eventually, the taste of that memory still lingers on my tongue, just like the robust flavors of our dishes. Such were the nights in Paris, a blend of camaraderie, shared dreams, and a generous sprinkle of love. But more importantly, these were the moments that defined me: Hyun the cook, Hyun the storyteller, Hyun the lover. The completion of my final school project at Le Cordon Bleu marked an unforgettable moment in my culinary journey. It was a towering wedding cake, 5 tiers, each intricately designed with distinct French aesthetics. Each layer was a testament to my culinary skills and the knowledge I had accumulated over the years. I remember the first time I had to bake an elaborate cake back in Busan. My fingers trembled over the exacting details. Now here I was in a professional setting, crafting a wedding centerpiece out of flour, sugar, and passion. The process was exhaustive and tested my patience to its limits. Each layer demanded precision, attention to texture, and an understanding of how flavors would blend once consumed. When it was finally assembled, I stepped back to truly appreciate the masterpiece I had created. Its white cream frosting reminded me of a snowy countryside in Korea. The sugar roses and ivy trails mirrored the beauty of nature in its purest form, unadulterated, serene, and magical. As I presented it to my mentors and classmates, I felt a rush of emotions. The gleaming eyes and words of praise were certainly heartwarming, but I found myself contemplating the journey that had led to this moment. It was a sweet reminiscence of my days at the family bakery, the warm, welcoming smell of fresh bread, the excitement of mastering our family sourdough recipe, the joy and pride in my parents' eyes. Each memory was a breadcrumb that had guided me to this moment of triumphant satisfaction. In that space, with the enticing smell of vanilla and cream wafting in the background, I realized that it wasn't just a cake. It was the tangible proof of my passion, effort, and growth throughout my time in France. It was a symbol of a conqueror who had chased after his dream in a land far from home to make it a reality. Of someone who had learnt to meld the aesthetics of the French with the hardiness of the Korean in his creations, just as he embodied those qualities within his own identity. These thoughts ran through my mind as I cut the first slice, a slice rich in meaning and symbolic of the exciting road ahead, each tier promising a newer, more flavorful chapter in my journey. And so, with my last project, I learned that cooking wasn't just an act but an artistic expression, a narrative in itself. Each recipe, each dish was a silent testament to the hands that crafted it. And my hands, firm yet gentle, had a story to tell. A story that had begun in my family bakery and reached its pinnacle in the perfect French patisserie. It was gratifying to look at the finished result, a beautifully crafted, intricate wedding cake, and know that this was not just a reflection of my skills as a baker, but a part of my soul that had evolved and learnt through the challenges and victories of my journey. Undoubtedly, a memory I will fondly look back upon, which continues to inspire me in my ongoing culinary pursuits. My departure from Isabel was marked with many emotions and words left unsaid. Can you imagine how it feels to let go of someone who had become an important part of your life in a city far from home? Our last meeting, under the white street lamps of Paris, still shines bright in my memory. I remember looking into Isabel's expecting eyes, mustering up the courage to say what I planned. How could one encapsulate all the care, respect, and love felt for another into a mere object? But I wanted to leave something tangible, something that spoke of our time together. So I decided to craft a necklace, a delicate piece of jewelry crafted with as much love as I poured into my dishes. Each link was set meticulously with precision, akin to the dough-kneading sessions back at the family bakery. It took many nights, many trials to chisel the perfect piece that reflected our sweet chemistry. It had a small pendant in the shape of a croissant, a small nod to our shared love for the culinary world. The moment still lingers in my mind when I presented it to her, the surprise and choked-back tears in her eyes. It was a moment of farewell that neither of us wanted to face, yet acknowledged was necessary for our future paths. Isabel's understanding smile, her gentle words of encouragement, they cushioned the blow. "Every ending is a new beginning, Hyun," she had said, her voice barely a whisper. That moment under the street lamp bore testament to the love we shared and the strength it took to let it go. It was just a necklace, but it symbolized so much more, closing an endearing chapter, keeping a memory close and cherishing an invaluable relationship. That day as I walked back through the charming streets of Paris, my mind was engulfed in a storm of emotions, excitement, melancholy, and hope. The parting was painful, but I knew, in the grand scheme of life, it was just another ingredient added in the making of me. Paris, with all its beauty, charm, and Isabelle, had infused a flavor of unforgettable love and liberty into my life. My journey there served as a crucial recipe in my cookbook of life, a recipe of adoration, passion, and self-discovery. That handmade necklace, it wasn't just a parting gift. It was a part of me. A collection of fervently invested time, a silent bearer of my affection, and a symbol of a cherished Parisian love story. Leaving the kitchen of the Italian restaurant for the last time, I felt an intense concoction of emotions overwhelming me. Every bit of that place held a cherished memory, a lesson learned, a tale to tell. This restaurant had been my culinary battlefield, my second home, and my sanctuary for the past few years. I remember the very first day I walked in, nervous yet excited as I was about to start my first professional job in Seoul, my hometown. Saying goodbye, parting not only from Gina but also from the pasta station and pizza oven, was like severing a cord deeply woven into my heart. The polished granite counters, the hiss of steam when the sauce hit the pan, the metallic clang of the spatula, the aroma of garlic and olive oil, it was all part of me. Pieces of my journeys, my triumphs and trials, were wrapped up in each dish that left my station. There, I learned not only how to perfect a carbonara and season a ragu, but about teamwork, trust, about sweating the small stuff, and about the humbling lesson of starting at the bottom. Each pizza kneaded, each spaghetti tossed represented a brick that added to my culinary foundations. The countless hours spent in that restaurant, which were more like years, presented me with a spectrum of experiences, some that evoked laughter, some that squeezed tears, and some that sparked inspiration. Each goodbye exchanged with my colleagues, each apron hung, echoed my own transformation from a novice cook to a seasoned chef, much like the sourdough that became an artisan baguette. When I turned off the oven for the last time, it felt like the end of a chapter, but one that I'd penned with all my heart. The highlight reel of my time at the restaurant played in my mind, the intense kitchen rushes, the camaraderie among the staff, mimicking each other's distinctive lingo, the small moments of triumphs when the pizza crust turned out just right, and some hiccups to keep me grounded. The Italian restaurant was more than just a workplace. It was a capsule of remarkable experiences that served as stepping stones towards my dream of owning a restaurant. My sanctuary where I discovered unexplored alleys of my culinary journey. It was a reminder of my roots and my growth, a reflection of my sacrifices and gains. It taught me that each dish I created was a culinary poem of my experiences, a story narrated through flavors and aromas. On that last day, I felt a bittersweet ache in my heart, a sense of longing that was peppered with an anticipation of what lay ahead. It was a salient reminder that, much like recipes, we're all a mix of what we've been and a dash of what we aspire to be. Reflecting on my journey, I'd been transformed. From the boy kicking a soccer ball on the streets of Seoul to the passionate young chef navigating the bustling kitchen of a renowned Italian restaurant. I'd come a long way with a variety of experiences, relationships, and emotions at each stop. There were indeed pivotal moments, crucial decisions, circumstances, and encounters that, like ingredients in a recipe, had merged, interacted, and resulted in the person I was today. I recalled the parties back in Paris with Isabelle, especially the Halloween party where we were dressed in matching chef outfits. We sure looked like an adorable culinary duo that evening. The memory brought a smile to my face. The fun we had carving pumpkins, the laughter, the sweet moments of shared creativity. It all encapsulated our time together brilliantly. Those were days of pure joy, of feeling alive and loved despite being exceptionally far from home. I remembered investing countless hours and heart into creating an intricate wedding cake for my final assignment at Le Cordon Bleu. It was more than just a project for me, rather a canvas where I painted my growth, skills, and passion for culinary arts. Accomplishing that task was a significant milestone for me, not just professionally but personally as well, as it underlined my growth, my perseverance, and how far I'd come from my modest bakery beginnings. The bittersweet memory of parting ways with Isabel was tenderly etched in my mind. Maybe because it wasn't just about the end of a beautiful relationship, but interchangeably the beginning of an unforeseeable journey. The handmade necklace I gave her was less of a farewell gift and more of a symbol, a heartfelt artifact linking our story across continents and time zones. Then there was my recent farewell from the Italian restaurant. I was grateful and somewhat nostalgic. Leaving the place that witnessed my tears and sweat, my victory and shortcomings was hard but necessary. I felt a connection with every sound and smell in there, each enough to evoke a memory. The laughter echoing through the cafe during the early morning dough kneading sessions, the smell of fresh basil leaves, the rustling sound of the pasta boiling, every bit of it had a story tied to it. Reflecting on these, I realized that it's these moments, these bittersweet memories that drive me, inspire me to march on towards my aspirations. With every ending, there seemed to be a fortifying vision of a new beginning. While I'd waved a lot of goodbyes, faced my share of struggles, and embraced handfuls of wonderful experiences, I felt ready for the new recipe that life was about to brew. My journey, much like the perfect dough, had been kneaded and fermented over time and experiences, and although it had its share of bumps and cracks, it felt ready to bake into something wonderful. The essence of my journey was heavily influenced by my relationships, especially my friendships. Their value never waned even when the geographical distances stretched or when our paths diverged toward different destinations. I fondly thought of my culinary school friends, our union rekindled in soul. The camaraderie I shared with them, our shared passion for food, and shared dreams illuminated my journey. The enriching conversations, the jovial laughter, and the shared struggles in refining our culinary skills all made my path rewarding. Paving the way in friendship was an intimate process, one that reminded me of kneading the dough. You start off mixing different ingredients, the flour, the yeast, the salt, the water, each representing an individual with unique personalities and dreams. Then, you start kneading it, intertwining stories and forming cherished bonds, all the while smoothing out the rough patches. The process may have been tenuous, but being patient and persevering yielded a bond that was beautiful, enriched, and resilient, just like well-kneaded dough. As part of the workplace at the Italian restaurant, friendships held a different flavor. I distinctly remembered how a particularly timid coworker joined us, hesitant and unsure. However, my affinity to connect with people and make them feel comfortable won him over. Together we learned, we struggled, we shared recipes, and we bonded over shared sentiments of fear and excitement. Eventually, he found his rhythm in this busy kitchen world, and I found an endearing friendship. My renewed hobby of scuba diving brought with it a friendship that was as vast and fathomless as the sea herself. Yuna, a fellow scuba diver, became a companion in navigating the mesmerizing underwater realm. The serenity, the silence, and the sense of being suspended in time while diving offered both of us a respite from our bustling lives. Much like the vast ocean, our bond deepened, enriched by our shared adoration for the aquatic world. Just like recipes call for different ingredients and different cooking times, friendships too have their unique recipes. But one thing remained common. They were all nurtured with warmth, love, and mutual respect, ingredients crucial to making lasting friendships. This realization had cemented my belief in the strength and durability of these bonds, making me cherish them even more. Each interaction left an indelible impact on me, like handprints pressed into dough, clearly visible, deeply ingrained, and permanent. As I introspected, I was hit by the wave of gratitude for these enriching connections, as comforting as Mom's hand-baked bread, and as fulfilling as the spaghetti I passionately crafted. These souls of soul, as I fondly called them, were the sugar to my sourdough, sweetness that complemented the tang, rendering my life a perfect balance of flavors. The thought of my last day at the restaurant was saddening, but the longing was complemented by the anticipation of what lay ahead. Eager to embrace my future, the thought of cooking future recipes of life with these enriching relationships filled me with a contentment as comforting as a warm loaf of bread.